All right, all right, all right. Good morning. So, today I want to read this newsletter article. I don't know what to call it. Substack by Sam Sager. Exploring our why to uncover our own motivation for exercise. So, I have had a conversation with Sam. It's on this channel. I've had many conversations with Sam. I have had a recorded interview with Sam that's on this channel, where we talk about intuitive exercise, intuitive fitness. And it's a very compelling idea to me. As I stand here and speak, I have the book Intuitive Eating right in front of me, which I got years ago, and in many ways changed my life. So this idea of taking something which is very rigid, often rule-based, something like eating in the case of this book, and taking away all those rules that we've learned over our lives, all those shoulds and shouldn'ts, and instead getting in touch with ourselves, paying more attention. Maybe a better way to say it is paying more attention to our own bodies and using what we notice in our own bodies, our own sensations, our own desires, our own physiological responses, hunger, etc., to guide our behavior in that realm. So with eating, taking away the rules and listening to your body. When are you actually hungry? How much are you hungry? Are you not hungry? What do you actually feel like eating? How satisfied do you feel after eating whatever? And learn from that and let that shape your behavior. So I don't remember if Sam and I talked about that in our interview, but we definitely have talked about it at other times. So I want to spend some more time reading Sam's stuff because he's doing this. He's bringing this approach to exercise and fitness, which is not completely unheard of, but I can't think of anyone else doing it off the top of my head, and it's an important thing to do because for a lot of reasons. I don't think I need to explicate all the benefits of that. I mean, one being, if we want to be healthy for the long term, it behooves us to allow our bodies to maintain themselves and be fit in ways that are not top down, which are not forced upon them, but are rather coming from our bodies themselves. How do our actual bodies want to move? Because letting our bodies move that way is going to be more generative of health than forcing ourselves to do things that our body is uncomfortable with. So that's going to lead to longer health over the long term. More sustainable health over the long term. It's also just more fun. I have spent many years being extremely rigid and extremely rule-based and extremely coercive in many ways around exercise. And while I got results from that in a certain way, I got strong, I got big, I ultimately ended up hurting myself, and at this point I've spent more time not exercising and working out in that fashion than I ever spent actually doing it. So it's been years because I hurt myself so bad. So as successful as I was in that approach, ultimately it kind of came crashing down around me, and I couldn't keep that going, so anyway, long preamble. I don't really know how I'm going to approach this. I want to read it. I don't know how much I will stop and comment. I'm sure I will, but I'll kind of see what happens as I go along. So yeah, here we go. Exploring our why to uncover our own motivation for exercise by Sam Sager, published on January 5th, so only 3 days ago. All right. There's so much beneath the statement, I want to exercise more. Why? It's rarely a simple answer. Often, people will respond with a common goal, like lose weight, gain strength, or be healthy. This is typically just the tip of the iceberg. Digging deeper, lose weight might shift to, I want to feel more confident in my body. Gain strength could expand to, I want to feel sturdier, stronger, and more capable in daily life. Be healthy may evolve to, I want to feel more energy and not fall apart as I age. This process often continues through multiple layers. In each case, there are desires buried with significance. These can be deeply personal and meaningful. Understanding what we truly want is powerful, yet frustratingly difficult. The noise of others. Hold on, I guess before I move on, do I have anything to say here? In some ways I feel like I don't, because I'm just nodding along in full agreement. I've had to do this process of inquiring into my actual motivations for years now around exercise, since I couldn't keep going with the approach that I used to. And I've learned some things about what it is that I was hoping to get out of exercise, and what do I want now. Am I still motivated by the things that motivated me then? To some degree, yes, but not nearly as much. And to the extent that I am, I don't want to let that motivation play out in the way that I used to, because what happened was I got injured, and that fucking sucked. So, yeah, anyway, this is all very relatable. I don't think I have anything to add yet, particularly. One reason the widespread and potent pull of mimetic desire, one reason is the widespread and potent pull of mimetic desire. The reality that the things we want are often influenced by what we perceive others wanting is disturbing. It forces us to acknowledge that our goals may not actually have come from within us, but from friends, influencers, and other external sources. This influence of others can lead us to pursue things we don't actually care about, or oscillate between competing desires. This is especially true in the world of fitness and exercise. Everywhere we go, people are telling us what we should want and do. Bigger muscles, less fat, run a marathon, deadlift 400 pounds, lose 30 pounds in 30 days with the secret program. All this noise makes exploring our own desires more challenging. Unwinding external influences and discovering internal motivators rarely feels easy or quick. Therefore, it's less about rushing to find the answers and more about cultivating curiosity for and commitment to the question. I mean, it's an interesting thing, Sam talked about mimetic desire earlier, which is, from my understanding of it, largely an unconscious process. It's us desiring things that we see other people desiring and having. Less so what they tell us we should want and what we should do. But obviously, both happens, right? The people on Instagram looking all sexy, doing fancy things with their life, they're not telling us anything necessarily or explicitly. They're not telling us to want what they have explicitly. They're not telling us what to do explicitly. I mean, sometimes they are. But just seeing them there, seeing them on that platform, getting so much attention, looking so beautiful, having these things, it pulls us in, right? Without them having to say anything. One thing I'm reminded of is something I've tweeted a few times and I have done personally. It's sort of like a different take on exercises that I used to do as a copywriter to learn about copywriting and to learn how copy was written in order to stimulate desire and put people into an emotional state of mind. And that is to read sales copy and marketing copy not from the perspective of how does this work and how can I do what this is doing, right? Not how do I learn the skill of persuading people, but rather what are the desires and motivations in myself that these sales pages or this marketing copy is highlighting, right? Presuming it's a piece of marketing that has stimulated me, whether just got me excited about the idea or the product, or if I even went all the way and bought the thing, if it has moved me to some extent, then clearly it is pointing at very real desires in myself, very real motivations that I have. And so you can read these things and instead of being like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I'm going to buy the thing now, you can pause and take a step back and unwind that a little bit. Examine, what is it that I'm wanting here and what's making me want that? Do I really need that thing? Do I really need to buy that thing in order to get this thing that I want? Sometimes you have to go a few layers deep in order to answer that in an interesting way, because if you don't go any layers deep, it's just oh, I want to make more money and I don't know how to make more money, so I need this book to tell me how to make more money. So obviously on that level, it's not very interesting. But if you go one layer deeper and you say, well, what is it that's motivating me or making me feel so intensely in need of making more money? That's where it gets interesting, right? Because the book or whatever it is that you're reading the sales copy for very likely isn't going to fulfill those second order motivations and desires. Right? So you can buy the book, you can buy the program, hoping that it will fulfill, and it might fulfill on the first order desire. It might tell you how to make more money, and you might even do the thing and make more money. But if you haven't gone that layer deeper, the thing driving you to want more money may very well not have changed. And so you may even find yourself, if you're like successful in every respect along this path, you might end up making more money and still that itch isn't scratched, really. That thing that was motivating you, whatever it was, is still going to motivate you, and it's still just going to motivate you in a different way now. It's going to lead to different needs, different desires, different frustrations. And then you probably will find yourself reading some new sales copy for some other program to deal with some other issue, which is kind of just a new manifestation of that deeper thing. Anyway, that was very long. But anyway, that's what I was reminded of right here. So, benefits of uncovering our desires. Gaining a deeper understanding of what we want is crucial to embracing exercise in an enjoyable and effective way. It's hard to enjoy exercise if there's something we truly want from it and we're not progressing toward it. Making sustained progress is difficult if we haven't clarified what we're aiming for. At the core of intuitive fitness is a nudge toward intrinsic motivation, where we are driven by the satisfaction of doing activity instead of a specific outcome. Yet, there's nuance here. Many people have desires and goals beyond just enjoying exercise. Awesome. Pursuing a tangible goal can be motivating and satisfying. Making progress feels good and can increase motivation, creating a virtuous cycle. So, rather than view it as a choice between intrinsic or extrinsic motivation, embrace both. Cultivate intrinsic motivation to create a constant source of fuel that doesn't wane. Embrace goals or desires as they emerge to increase motivation and accelerate action. Just continue to look within for guidance on what you actually want. See, that's a great thing Sam's doing here is like, yeah, maybe a lot of the things that we want are kind of us mirroring what we see others having and wanting, right? As he said earlier, the mimetic desire stuff. A lot of our goals and desires don't come from us. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean you have to just like cut them out. You don't have to just say no to them. You certainly don't have to be ashamed of them, right? So that's like step one of this whole intuitive approach thing. It's like, yeah, not every goal that I have is my own. Not every desire I have is really intrinsic, but I don't need to try to force myself to not have those, I'm not broken because I have extrinsic motivations. I can still want to have bigger biceps or whatever it is. That's fine. Just do both. Look inside as well. Motivation and intuitive fitness. Exploring our motivation for exercise is foundational to building an approach to fitness from a place of personal meaning. Here are some beliefs I have about motivation and intuitive fitness. 1. Discovering goals and desires from within is far more powerful than just adopting the goals and desires of others. Start to question and explore what you truly want. 2. It's okay to want what you want. There's little benefit in judging a desire as not worthy or shallow. Instead, get curious about where it comes from and what's beneath it. Goals, desires, and motivation evolve over time. Start wherever you are, but be open to the likelihood that these will change. 4. Motivation decreases if we lose confidence that our efforts will achieve our goals. Design your approach to align with what you want most and incorporate sound training principles. 5. Untangling mimetic desires is an ongoing game to identify what we actually want versus things we believe we should want. Create conditions that minimize mimetic desires and support self-discovery. 6. The best path to uncover our true desires lies in the body. Our embodied experience of how goals and activities feel to pursue can highlight where there's personal resonance. 7. The most sustainable and potent motivation is experiencing joy and curiosity within an activity. Cultivate joy for exercise and fascination with fitness to remove the need for constant external motivation. 8. My beliefs about desires, motivations, and goals may differ from yours. Explore for yourself to create your own playbook for when things are challenging. In future posts, I'll expand on these areas and provide concrete tips on designing an approach to align with different goals. The real fun starts when we play with how to progress towards outcomes that matter to us while maximizing the joy within the pursuit. For now, I'll leave you with one final thought. If we can't escape it, perhaps we can use mimetic desire to our benefit. Maybe by modeling intuitive fitness, we can inspire each other to desire our own paths. At the least, we can create a little safe haven for people interested in embracing exercise from within. Playing with these ideas. My hope is everything I share here will be an invitation for you to reflect on, experiment with, and experience these ideas in your own life. Some prompts to play with. Reflect. What do you want from exercise? Is this coming from within, or what you see others wanting? Are there any more personal desires buried beneath this? Experiment. Try to find one activity to do today or this week that aligns well with what you want most from exercise. Experience. As you do this activity, notice how it feels in your body. Bring awareness to your desires, motivations, and goals during the activity. See if there are any shifts in how the activity feels before, during, and after, or after. All right. Thank you for reading. Please consider sharing this with a friend if you think they will be interested in exploring intuitive fitness. I'd love to hear any reflections, ideas, or questions you have in the comments. I am curious for Sam. My question, I think, is, there was a particular moment when the question came up. I guess I'm curious in general at this point, since Sam has been pursuing fitness for a long time and thinks about it in this way. Obviously, he's the one writing all of this. I'm curious, what are your goals and motivations with fitness at this moment in your life? What type of exercise are you exploring, and why that? Like, are you trying to get stronger, more flexible, more mobility, or is it like a deeper thing than that, a little bit more meta? Like, is it less about explicit body related goals and explicit like capability related goals, and more about a way in which you maybe are relating to yourself, or a way in which you're approaching life, and is that guiding how you approach exercise nowadays? Yeah, basically I'm curious to hear how you answer some of these questions that you pose in this piece for others to answer. What are your goals right now? Yeah, I'll leave it at that.